Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to season 13, episode 38, overall 698 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by our friends at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme sent you, or you can email them at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family-run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969 and has been a sponsor advertiser of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show for the past 3.5 years. Good morning, everybody, on this Friday, April 24th, 2026. It's a busy time of the year with sports. You got the Stanley Cup playoffs going on in the NHL. You got the NBA playoffs. You got Major League Baseball going on. The NFL drafts taking place in Pittsburgh. And most importantly, this weekend, you have the National Lacrosse League's round one, win or go home, best of one playoffs starting this weekend, especially with tonight's game at 10 o'clock between Halifax and Vancouver. And I'm looking forward to my guest. This is his 6th appearance on our show, and he's catching up to Pat Gregor, and I call him the Bob McKenzie of the National Lacrosse League. His name is Adam Levi. He's a National Lacrosse League media personality, insider in my opinion, and he's a friend of the show. And we're going to bring on Adam Levi, and we're going to get his thoughts on round one of the National Lacrosse League playoffs that start tonight at 10 o'clock in Vancouver. Good morning, Adam. How are you?
I'm very good, Chris, and thank you so much for having me on again. I can't believe it's been 6 times already. You've really, since the early days of my National Lacrosse League coverage, you've invited me on the show, and I'm so grateful for that, and glad to be back here for a very exciting playoffs that we're about to see.
So we're going to try to get you caught up to Pat Gregor, who's been on the show 11 times.
Well, I did make sure that I'm clean shaven. I can't get the hair that Pat Gregor has, but at least I can get my beard all nice and trim. So
I used to have hair. That's why I wear the ball caps now.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for having me on. And I know that you must be so excited, not only for the Buffalo Bandits, but for the Buffalo Sabres, who are performing so well in the NHL as well.
I'm actually a Detroit Red Wing fan, and
no way. Okay, well there you go.
They've missed the playoffs 10 years in a row now. They've gone from 25 years in a row of being a dominant franchise to now missing the playoffs 10 years in a row. I'm just hoping they don't miss the playoffs 25 years in a row.
For all the research I do, what a way to start that off with a bummer. I apologize.
That's okay.
Let's go Red Wings.
But that's okay. The Buffalo Sabres, I have a soft spot for them. And one of their announcers is a friend of mine. He's been on my show, Dan Dunleavy. He used to call the Maple Leaf games, and he was also on Fan 590 in Toronto, or Sportsnet Toronto. He's been doing the Sabres games for 15 years, and I don't think until now he's called a playoff game since he took over, following in the footsteps of Rick Jeanneret or RJ. So Buffalo won last night too, by the way. So they're up 2-1 on Boston. But it's a busy time of the year for sports, and the National Lacrosse League round one starts tonight. Winner go home. Before we get into questions, I got Pat Gregor watching. He always keeps his word. He's just mentioning the playoffs here, and then he goes, "Adam's going to catch my record soon." I still got 5 more appearances, but I wanted to get your thoughts, and maybe Pat's, who's watching this too. Do you think the first round in the NLL playoffs should be a best of 3 instead of the winner go home round?
It's an interesting question. I know that everyone wants more National Lacrosse League action and especially playoff action. There is something so intriguing about the unpredictability of winner-go-home games, which is just awesome. I think that if there's a way maybe to change the format so that you extend the finals, so keep the semifinals at 3 games, maybe extend the finals, though, to a best of 5, maybe something like that, to get more games. But, as much as teams want to be able to say, okay, well, we beat this team in a series, I think that there's a real appeal to a winner-go-home game. And with the parity in the National Lacrosse League, unlike other leagues, I think that it's even more exciting.
Would you also like to see 2 more playoff teams get in instead of 8 teams, have 10 teams come in?
Not at this point. I know that there's been some fans speculating on like what the future of the playoffs could look like with more teams and things like that. I think that where the league is at right now in terms of the amount of teams is a great number, and I think the amount of playoff teams is a great number. So if I were the National Lacrosse League, I would keep things pat for a little bit, and just leave it as is until there's a little bit more stability and then time for growth.
Adam, I want to get your thoughts on the Philadelphia Wings. I know Philly is a great sports city. They've got a long history with lacrosse, even going back to the 70s. But why did this team fail so miserably in Philadelphia? Was it just the lack of winning, or was it a combination of things?
It was a combination of things, and I feel like you must have read my mind because I actually have a brand new Philadelphia Wings article out on Inside Lacrosse. You should go check that out on InsideLacrosse.com. Last week, I had done an article about the kind of the history of the Wings and the moment of them playing their last home game and how emotional that was and what the future could look like for this franchise. But then I just did a follow-up piece. I got to speak to so many of the great Philadelphia Wings fans that are definitely hurting right now, wanting a National Lacrosse League team in Philadelphia. And, they gave me some really interesting insight about why they think that things haven't worked out. And we've heard this in some other markets as well, but, not to get into that. But I think that there's a lot of disappointment in the Comcast ownership, Comcast Spectre ownership, and what they weren't doing. I feel like Philadelphia Wings fans wanted so much more out of the ownership group in terms of promoting the team around the city, maybe in terms of television advertising, just pushing the team more, especially with such a solid known brand. And I know that the ownership, someone in lacrosse operations, I believe, when they were deciding on the team name, they continued with the Philadelphia Wings because they knew that the fans had a connection with that brand. So I think that a lot of it is on that. And then the second part, as you mentioned, is winning. Unfortunately, there was not a lot of winning and even not a lot of winning at home for this team over the years. They tried to bring in different pieces at different times to make it work. It just couldn't happen. And I mean, I think it's a reality in all sports that if you have continued losing seasons and a lack of consistent playoff appearances, that fans are just not going to show up as often as they would if you were, say, the Buffalo Bandits, who win and win and win and people can get excited about.
Adam, do you feel there could be an ownership group in that area to save the team? And in Philadelphia area, besides that arena, is there another arena in the city that would be more conducive to the Philadelphia Wings if they stayed in the city?
I don't ultimately think that the Philadelphia Wings are going to stay in Philadelphia, and quite frankly, I don't believe that they will stay in the state of Pennsylvania. Now, I do really hope that there are, some local owners. There's definitely enough rich people in the Philadelphia area who could afford to buy the Philadelphia Wings. But, I think one of the things that I learned is walking through the city of Philadelphia on the day of their last home game is that, despite what Comcast may not have done to promote the team, there just isn't that sense of overall excitement and anticipation for box lacrosse outside of the niche group. And I think that we need to keep growing the base, and I know that with NLL Unboxed and other opportunities, that the NLL is trying to grow the game at the grassroots level and through schools and really get things going in all facets. I know that there's guys like Blaze Reardon and others who have done clinics and started so many camps and things like that in the Philadelphia area. So they're trying, but ultimately I do think that the Philadelphia Wings will not be the Philadelphia Wings. I hope that they are bought and moved to another city, a city, as some fans have told me, a city that will give them the love and appreciation that they deserve, and that unfortunately Philadelphia has not.
If they do get a team in the future, maybe 5-10 years from now, maybe with the right ownership, because I know corporate ownerships are important too, but they're not really committed to winning as much as individual owners. So maybe that market in the future, if a team comes back to Philly, would be more successful with a local person owning the team and being in an arena that's a little more smaller, like maybe 8,000 seats, 9,000 seats instead of 18,000 seats.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think that most National Lacrosse League teams and the optics, of course, for the league would look so much better if they were in all smaller arenas. I mean, you look at some of them. You look at Toronto, a great packed crowd. They're filling near capacity. You look at Halifax, almost averaging sellouts throughout the season at home. That's been one of the special markets, but less than 11,000 capacity there. You got other markets
So
like
bear with us. Okay. Are you back, Adam? That was on me.
Yep, I'm here. I was saying that, you look at markets like Toronto or Halifax with smaller arenas, or even with Las Vegas moving out to Henderson, I think is an example. They have, in terms of capacity, have been doing really well. So I think that's a really interesting point and a good idea. Oh, can you hear me, Chris?
Pat says, I think there are some. Yeah, I can hear you now. Pat says, I think there's some owners that would like to see round one expanded so each playoff team gets at least one home game.
Yep.
And then Pat's get another comment. Personally, 3-5 would be great, but now you have to have the playoffs more than half the regular season. So I think the regular season schedule.
Oh, you there, Chris?
Yeah, I am back. I do apologize. That was just a glitch with the Wi-Fi. I do agree with Pat there, but I do feel the regular season, and I've talked to Chris Swenson about this too when I've been in Buffalo in the past. I think ideally a 20-game regular season schedule would be perfect. 10 home games, 10 road games. It balances it out, and maybe even have a bye for the number one team, because the number one team in the United Standards, I think Vancouver, they lose tonight, they're gone after one game, and they're the number one seed. So I think the number one seed in the unified standings should get a bye in the first round, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that idea. I think with a larger league and with a different format, I think it can work for sure. And I think that, if we get to a place where there's, we talk about changing the schedule, and I know there's been so much of that too, the timing of the schedule and all those different things, I think it can definitely work for sure.
Adam, what's your assessment of the first round of the NLL playoffs this year, the winner go home round, starting with tonight's game at 10 o'clock? I think Teddy Janner is calling that game on TSN. The 8-10 Halifax Thunderbirds, a team the last couple of years where they've had very good rosters, but just haven't put it together, taking on a team that has struggled the last few years, who's had their best year, I believe, since they moved to Vancouver, the number one seed Vancouver Warriors, who are 13-5. Just thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Warriors are a fantastic team with a fantastic leadership group, and he doesn't get talked about a lot, and I know that part of that is because he doesn't want to be in the spotlight, but assistant coach Bob McMahon is really such a difference maker on the bench there. So respected, been around this league for more than 2 decades. Really just an incredible and knowledgeable person who knows how to connect with those guys. And then you've got Kurt Malosky, one of the most respected players, coaches in the league. And those players play for the logo on the chest. A lot of them are from the Vancouver area and are very proud about that. And I think that this is just such a strong, cohesive unit, especially with the moves that they made over last offseason. Now, Halifax, and I know we talked about this off air as well, I think that they're much better than their record suggests, and Warren Hill has been having one of the best seasons of his National Lacrosse League career. It reminds me of the COVID-shortened year when he was a goaltender of the year finalist, and we'll see what the voters say this year. Maybe he sneaks on there. I know that there's so many great goaltenders this year that are going to be getting a lot of votes from the voters, but I think it's going to be a close, gritty game. Halifax likes to play fast. They like to move the ball up and down the floor, but they also like to play physical, and sometimes it can get rough, and that can be tough for teams when the pressure is on. But I think that ultimately Kurt Malosky and his group are going to be grounded, focused, and able to step up to the challenge in front of their home fans.
Adam, how important is it for the league to have a strong Vancouver Warriors team in that market?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. And we've seen such growth over the last couple of years. Again, winning helps a lot. But there's some people, we talked about announcers having to announce through some tough times. It's so great that Jake Elliott, Brad Challoner, and guys like that have gotten a call during the regular season, these games, and into the playoffs for people like Brad or Teddy Jenner from the West Coast as well. But Brad and Teddy have been calling Vancouver games for over a decade, I believe. And for those rough seasons, and some of those guys, Keegan Ball starting his career with the Vancouver Stealth in 2016. It's been a long road for a lot of them. So to see the growth, to see how the Aquilinis have come in and done so much for this organization, it's fantastic. I wish that I could be there during this stretch. Unfortunately, when I was living in Vancouver, I was there during some really rough times, but it's fantastic to see, and to have a West Coast Canadian team having this kind of success is phenomenal.
Overall, has their attendance increased with their success this year?
I'd have to check compared to last year. Here, let me look that up for you. I know that last year, I think, was a record attendance. So this year was better than last year by an average of 14 people. So right now, they are at 9,690 people on average. Last year, 9,676. So, to get that kind of fan base at the early stages of building something very special, not only for the present, but for the long term, is very exciting. Vancouver can be a very fair weather sports fan town, so winning definitely helps.
And hopefully tonight there's no Vancouver Canucks going on. The BC Lions haven't started up, so there's no reason I don't feel they shouldn't draw over 10 or 11,000 tonight for tonight's game against Halifax. Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they open the upper bowl. I could be wrong on that. Maybe Pat would know if they had done that, but the lower bowl for sure will be very, very packed, I hope.
Adam, what are some keys for both teams tonight in tonight's game in Vancouver between Halifax and Vancouver?
So I think for Vancouver, it's definitely composure. It's going to be able to be strong in their reverse transition defense. I think that it's going to be, or their transition defense, I should say. I think that it's going to be one of those battles where Halifax is going to try and get under the skin of the Vancouver Warriors, and I think that the Warriors are going to have to make sure that they stay composed, as I said earlier. And also, it's going to be there's probably going to be a lot of focus on the NLL's points leader in Keegan Ball, who has been tremendous with the ball this season, both as a goal scorer and a facilitator. And so how can they shut him down in both facets of his skill set, limiting what he can do there? Because we've seen guys like Adam Charlambides have big games. Curtis Dixon is still playing so well. So I think the limiting of Keegan Ball to give him space and allow him to get free and do his magic would be a key for Halifax.
Do you see this being a high-scoring game or more of a low-scoring type game?
A low-scoring game for sure. I think that both teams. I know Halifax can play some high-scoring games, but I think it is going to be more of a defensive and goaltending battle. I think it'll probably, if I had to give a guess, let's say, I'll go 12-10 Vancouver in this one.
12-10. I will give you my predictions at the end of the show when we wrap this up, Adam, and then maybe we'll get Preston's picks too. Hey, I got to ask you this as well. We're going to get to the next game, Buffalo, Georgia. How costly was Buffalo's loss to Oshawa last week, ending their 7-game winning streak and costing them a home game in this first round? And when's the last time the Bandits played the first round on the road away from the KeyBank Center? It must be a number of years.
I believe it was it's 2017 or 2018, one of those years. Because in 2019 they were also very good. I believe they were at home in the first round. I could be wrong on that, but it was definitely not in this decade. So it has been a while. They've been so dominant. Buffalo has had its challenges this year, and I know that having spoken to them and written articles about it, that they struggled to figure out their identity and who they were going to be without guys like Chase Fraser, Chris Cloutier, and others. And I know that was a big deal for them, and they admitted that. And, I think that when they heard from their GM, Steve Dietrich, that this could be the end of this group, I think that made them dig down in a way that we've seen the Bandits play at their best. And I think that sometimes when you've got a fire under your butt, it helps you a lot, especially when you have a bond as tight as those guys, to know that the end is near, and all likelihood is that no matter what happens at the end of this year, that this group is not going to remain the same, just with age and longevity and all those things. And if they somehow did do that, I don't think the team would be the same next year. So I think that there is an understanding that this is kind of a last run for these guys. And it's great for the National Lacrosse League when the Bandits have been playing well. We see how KeyBank Center gets packed, and obviously the attendance will be significantly lower in Georgia for this one. But Buffalo has the ability to step up whenever their back is against the wall. So while they won't be in Bandit land, and while my colleague at Inside Lacrosse, Dawson Nielsen, has pointed out, and I've pointed out as well on my Twitter, Adam Levy LAX, that Buffalo has struggled on the road this season, especially offensively. I do think Buffalo has a real chance to pull this one off. And, I don't know who's going to win it, because it's really going to be a tough matchup.
Pat was saying it doesn't look like the upper bowl is going to be open yet in Vancouver, but it looks like the lower bowl will be very close to a sellout, and that's definitely positive. Now, do you feel some of the Bandit fans might have overreacted to this loss to Oshawa? And you got to give Oshawa credit too. Okay, they're not making the playoffs. They've had a terrible year, their first year in Oshawa, but I think Oshawa really played their best game of the year, and the Bandits have lost a number of games to teams under 500, but being 3-time champions, you got a target on your back, especially. And the fans got to realize too, Oshawa wanted to end the season on a strong note to build for next year too.
Yeah, I don't think they necessarily overreacted for this loss. What I will say is I think they overreacted when the Bandits were looking like they weren't going to make the playoffs in the middle of the season. I think that, panic can set in, and yes, the team wasn't playing up to its standard, as we just talked about. But, you can't forget that this is still the Buffalo Bandits with so many of those same pieces. And whenever you have Josh Byrne, Dane Smith, Matt Vince, Steve Priolo, Nick Weiss, you could go on and on and on, Paul Dawson, you can never count them out. But a lot of Bandits fans did. And I know that they're super pumped that they are back in the playoffs, because it did look like the Bandits were not going to be in the postseason.
What are some keys tonight for both teams to win their matchup in Georgia? And how do you see this game playing out? Do you see it a high-scoring game, or do you think it's going to be tight as well?
Well, I think it's definitely going to be a tight game, and really so much of it depends on that Georgia Swarm defense and goaltending that has been so strong all year. I know I have my votes in, and I know that a lot of other people do as well, and I definitely would not be surprised if Brett Dobson ends up winning MVP of the National Lacrosse League this season, as well as goaltender of the year. Of course, he's just been so lights out, but can the Buffalo Bandits find a way to solve him? We've seen just such great performances from these young guys of the Georgia Swarm, from Nolan Byrne, who's been one of the best rookie goal scorers in Georgia Swarm history, to Michael Grace, who should, in my opinion, be in the Rookie of the Year finalist conversation. Not saying that he should be winning it per se, but definitely in that conversation, he's been excellent as well. So can that defense hold strong, knowing that the Bandits are going to try and suffocate them with their offense? Dane Smith and Josh Byrne are going to be unloading shots, I'm sure, smart shots, but they are going to try and make sure that they get to Georgia early and often. So weathering that storm and being able to beat the champions who have a championship mentality is going to be the key.
I know the Bandits this year have had a lot of slow starts, and I think in this game against Georgia, they cannot afford to fall behind 4-0, 5-6, 7-0. Even though they have the offensive firepower, I think that first quarter is going to be key, and they need to at least break even with Georgia at the end of the first quarter. They don't want to be down 3, 4, 5 goals right away. So I think that first quarter is going to be huge, and I really think Georgia could. I was going to say, we'll wrap this up in a couple of minutes. Who could be an X factor in this game tonight between Georgia and Buffalo? And then we'll get on to San Diego, Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be that kind of those extended offensive pieces, whether it's Clay Scanlon or Ian McKay, how they can contribute. I think that those are going to be huge. Defensively, the Bandits know who they are and they know what they have to do. That's a very veteran defense. But then, it's gonna be a lot of how can Georgia find ways to score. We've seen Lyle Thompson and Shane Jackson have not their best years this year, but Lyle had a really couple great games, and the Georgia Swarm offense came alive towards the end of the season. Can they get a little bit of that spark? Offensively, they have struggled on the whole as a season, so I think that'll be key. But if Lyle can do Lyle Thompson things like he's kind of started to show recently, I think that will be huge for them. But then you need guys like Caleb Benedict, who's been a great kind of breakout star for them. Another young kid from Onondaga who's been great. And so, I think you're going to need a full team effort from the Georgia Swarm to beat the Buffalo Bandits. But defense does win championships, and in one-and-dones, defense can win you games. So ultimately, it does go back to the defense.
Are there any key injuries going into this game? Anybody that's going to be out that could be a big loss for either team?
That is a good question. I do not know off the top of my head. I don't believe so. Pat can definitely fact check me on that one, as he's got access to that. But I don't believe there's anyone significant, at least at the top of my head. And if there is, I apologize to whoever that is.
All right. As we wrap this up, Adam, we've got 2 more games. Just quickly, thoughts on the 8-10 San Diego Seals taking on the Colorado Mammoths tomorrow night in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a great game. I mean, the Loud House is one of the best places to play in all of the National Lacrosse League. San Diego, again, similar to the Buffalo Bandits, definitely happened later in the season, but so there you go. Nanticoke and Scanlon missed the last game, but should be good to go for tomorrow from Pat. So there you go. But obviously, if they are not at full strength, those secondary and third pieces there on the offense, that makes it more difficult for Josh and Dane to run the offense, because then, of course, Georgia can just gang up on them. But going back to the Colorado game, that's a tough place to play. But San Diego really dug down and found a way to do what they needed to do to win big games. Zach Currier has been unbelievable this year. He's just a Swiss Army knife that can do a little bit of everything, which is awesome. But to see that team perform and do what they needed to do to get into the playoffs, fantastic for them. So I do think Colorado ends up winning this game. I don't think that is in question, but I think San Diego is going to make it challenging for sure. But Colorado is just such a strong team. What Brad Self did in the GM role there and Pat Coyle has done bringing that group together with so many rookies playing different parts and sometimes big roles this season has just been so unbelievably impressive. So I have no doubt that Brad Self will be up there, if not winning the GM of the year, and Pat Coyle definitely in the conversation for Coach of the Year.
I feel this could be one of the better games this weekend, and I feel this is going to be a high-scoring game between San Diego and Colorado, in my opinion.
Yep, yeah, very well could be. Although with Dylan Ward in net, and he's been having a much improved year. He got so much flack in recent seasons about, well, is Dylan Ward done? Is he just not the same Dylan Ward? Well, he's been phenomenal, and Chris Origlieri, when people seem to count him out, and he's still so young, 25, 26 years old. He really finds ways to step up and just be so good. So, it could go either way. I could definitely see it going both ways, either a strong defensive battle between the two or a shootout. But yeah, the Loud House is going to be electric, and it's going to be one you're not going to want to miss.
And then finally, the last game, I believe Pat Gregor is going to be doing this game with TSN on Saturday night, and that's the Toronto Rock 11-7 against Saskatchewan, who's 12-6. Saskatchewan got off to such a great start to the season, but they kind of cooled off recently. So I wanted to get your thoughts on the Rock in Saskatchewan Saturday night, 9 p.m. on TSN with Pat Gregor.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there that Saskatchewan has not looked like the Saskatchewan at the beginning of the season, which is unfortunate because I know so many people thought that that they were going to be definite repeat championship contenders, which I still think they have the roster and capability and the coaching staff and the leadership to do so. I mean, such a talented group, and I think Ryan Keenan is one of the best captains and one of the best leaders in the National Lacrosse League. They've got a lot of great pieces. Mike Messenger has been phenomenal. Jake Boudreau in transition has been really good. So they can make challenges. But Toronto, a young team in many ways, their rookies have been phenomenal, and that's not just Owen Hiltz and CJ Kurse. Sam English has been a really, really solid piece for them as well. So it's been awesome to see this team come together. And I think it's going to be a battle to the end. I think that this is, for me, probably my most anticipated. I'm the matchup I'm most excited for this weekend. Just because I think that both rosters are so capable. I've said all season long that, you look at what Toronto has been able to do, that they could be a team that surprises some people. So I think that that's definitely very possible. And, it's just another one of those games where you flip a coin. Who knows who's going to win?
I think it's going to be a one-goal game, and I wouldn't be shocked if this game went to overtime, sudden death overtime.
Sure, yeah, and that would be great. More free lacrosse in the playoffs. I mean, it's a lacrosse fan's dream.
Absolutely, and we're going to put you on the spot here, Adam. I was going to wrap this up, but what are your picks for the 4 games, and are we able to get Preston's picks for round 1?
Preston actually has not made his picks yet, but he will be making them tonight. But I have Vancouver, Colorado, the Buffalo, Georgia game. It's just, I can't pick against Buffalo. I don't know how you could. So I'd have to go Buffalo there. And then I think that I think Toronto finds a way to win, but as we just outlined, that one's just going to be so tough, such a gritty matchup that I would be so fine if I was wrong. I just expect it to be a phenomenal lacrosse game. But if you put a gun to my head, let's just throw Toronto. Let's throw a dart in the dark.
I'm going to give you my predictions, and I'm going to take some heat for one or two predictions, but I'm going to go with Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Georgia. I'm a Bandits fan, and I do media coverage for the Bandits, but my gut feeling tells me Georgia is going to upset Buffalo tonight. I don't know what it is, so I know I'm not going to be. I know Chris Swanson and some of the Bandits people won't be too happy with me, but Vancouver, I got winning. Georgia, I believe, is going to win in an upset. I do believe the Rock are capable of winning in Saskatchewan, so I'm going with the Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got Colorado. So Vancouver, Georgia, Toronto, Colorado. And I do believe one, maybe two of these games will go to overtime. Georgia, Buffalo, I think could very well go to sudden death overtime. And remember a couple years ago, the Swarm played in Buffalo, I believe, in the first round, and they hit the goalpost in overtime and nearly eliminated the Bandits. So I really feel those two games, Buffalo, Georgia, Saskatchewan, Toronto, are going to be nail biters, and they're going to go to sudden death. But unfortunately, I just see that Georgia, I wouldn't even call it an upset because Georgia's had a really good season at 12-6. So if this game was at the KeyBank Center, I would definitely pick the Bandits. But playing on the road against the very good Georgia team, it's gonna be tough. But I will see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, if Georgia was a tougher place to play due to the fandom, that might give them a little bit more of an edge, the Bandits. But it really just comes down to how calm and easy their travel was to get into Georgia. To be there, to get ready, to prepare, how guys are feeling. It'll be interesting for sure.
Adam, as we wrap this show up in the next minute, just quickly, who is your pick for the NLL Season Award, the Tom Borrelli Award for Media Person of the Year for 25-26? John Gerkler won it last year, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on this year's candidates.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great pool, without getting into too much of the politics of it. I think that we need to find a way to be nominating more independent media. The people who were nominated, who all work for teams except for Graham Perro and Gary Grube, are all very talented, great people. But there are so many fantastic people in independent media, from the Inside Lacrosse team with Dawson Nielsen and Steven Stamp, as well as Paul Tutka with Lax Mag, Graham Perro, who, I think Graham Perro, for me, I owe so much to Graham for his site and everything that he does. It's hard for me personally to not put Graham at the top, and I think we all owe Graham so much for NLLstats.com. Plus his work at NLL Chatter, the Awesome Not Awesome segment is great as well. Wherever she finishes, I think Ashley Docking definitely deserves so much credit, and the effort that she's put in working the TSN games as well as the Toronto games, and just the meticulous research that she does for each game is awesome. And then, of course, the history maker, Mackie Jenner, herstory making Mackie Jenner, is someone who is going to be on a lot of people's radars as well. So there's some very deserving candidates, some great broadcasters on there as well. But yeah, if we can find more ways to get more independent media on there, like yourself, Chris, and so
no way. I'm still new to lacrosse. I've only been covering this league 4 years, so there's no way I should ever be a candidate for that award.
Well, don't sell yourself short, but I would say that the more that we can promote the independent media space and people who give so much to lacrosse that are not affiliated with a team or with the league directly, I think would be fantastic, and would encourage a lot more independent media to maybe get involved in covering the game and feeling like they're seen and heard. So, if there's a way we can do that, that'd be great. But if not, there's some great, very, very talented people who work with teams and work with the league, and congrats to all the nominees who were selected this year.
And I was so glad John Gerkler won it last year, because he's been the voice of the Buffalo Bandits since 2004, and he was a great announcer when he was with the Sabres, and he's one of the guys that Pat Gregor introduced me to, and John always spoke to me like he just always treated me really well, and I was so happy that he won that award last year. And he's one of the best broadcasters out there, by the way. And when I think of the Buffalo Bandits, I think of John Gerkler, but I also think of Chris Swinson, who should get an award from the league for his time with the Buffalo Bandits as well.
Yeah, if there was a way to do that, I feel like for Chris, it would have to be either the Hall of Fame or the alumni club that has been started. I would also say, and I know Pat and I have said this privately, and thank you, Pat, for saying that I deserve a nomination. But to the fact that it's so limited in nominations, to not see people like Pat on there this year. And I know that if Pat was on there, he'd be a finalist or a winner every year. I mean, the guy hustles really. Like, if you think about the impact that he has on the game, it's tremendous. From Cool Bet to all the appearances he does, including your show, Daily Dive, and others. He's so selfless with his time, but the great color commentary as well. But to not have another guy like Brad Challoner to not be a nominee with Coach's Call, as well as his work for TSN and for the Warriors. Nothing is perfect. And we're always trying to make the NLL the best it can be. So again, the people who are nominated are great people, very talented, and whoever wins, they are deserving of that win.
By the way, as we wrap the show up, are you buying that lacrosse game for yourself in Preston?
I don't have a Xbox or a PlayStation, so that's going to be a negative. We have a Nintendo Switch. It's the best system for Preston as a young kid. Got the best games, Nintendo. So, that's what we use. If it was on PC and we could get it on the computer, we would definitely be getting it. I do hope that everyone enjoys it, and for Cross Studios to put this game together. We haven't had a lacrosse game in about a decade, since Casey Powell 2018. So awesome that they did that. The lacrosse community has wanted something like this for a while. So it's great that they did it, and definitely go buy it if you can. $35 for a lacrosse game seems like a steal to me.
Preston going to be a future lacrosse player too in the future? Possibly.
It's always up to him. We follow his lead with what he likes. His two biggest passions, aside from dinosaurs and smashing stuff, is dance and music. So he loves doing hip hop dance, and even in ballet, which is great for his coordination and all that stuff. So, it's up to him. We'll follow his lead.
Adam, as we wrap this show up, where can our audience again follow you on social media? And what's the next NLL playoff game that you will be attending? And what time is Preston's Picks going to be on social media tonight?
So we'll be doing the picks around around 1 p.m. Eastern time. Then we have to do the minor little edits that we do. So it'll be up probably by 3:30, 7 hours before the game. And he'll be picking for all 4 of the games. So stay tuned for that. No competition for Preston's Picks. And also congratulations to Dawson Nielsen, my colleague and friend, for winning this season of Preston's Picks on OfficePoolJunkie.com. I know that we're working on something that is also going to be released today that is going to make a lucky fan happy, but I don't want to give away too much of that. So stay tuned to Dawson's social feed. But yeah, Adam Levy LAX on Twitter, Adam Levy LAX on Instagram as well, although most of the content right now is on Twitter, of course, Inside Lacrosse as well. So those are the main platforms where you can find me. Spotify, Lacrosse Matrix Podcast. When I'm doing it right now, I'm in my kind of a joint workspace. We have a lot of construction going on in the house. So once things get settled and there's not a lot of banging going on, then probably start that up again very shortly.
And I will check out your Philadelphia Wings story on InsideLacrosse.com.
So if you just go to ilindoor.com, you can find it there. It's a little tougher if you go to InsideLacrosse.com, because then you have to kind of search through the little tabs. But yeah, ilindoor.com, you'll see it right there.
Okay. Well, Adam, I want to say thank you so much for giving us some time out of your busy schedule. Continue success, and like myself, enjoy the National Lacrosse League playoffs this weekend, starting tonight at 10 o'clock with Halifax and Vancouver, and then Buffalo, Georgia Saturday night, Colorado, San Diego, and then TSN's game, I believe TSN's game of the week, 9 o'clock Saturday, Toronto at Saskatchewan. And I believe the Vancouver Halifax game will be on the main TV, TSN channels tonight. I believe Teddy Jenner is calling that game as well from Vancouver.
Yes, and also San Diego versus Colorado will be on ESPNU. So that's great that it's on one of the ESPN linear networks. Hopefully a lot of people who are new fans are tuning into that.
Okay. Well, make sure you say hi to Preston for me, and I look forward to his picks, and maybe he'll be a future guest on the show as well.
Of course. Yeah, he's hiding behind the wall.
That's okay. That's okay.
But Chris, it's always great to chat with you. Thank you so much. And go Red Wings. I'll remember that next time. Let's hope that they can break that playoff drought. And I always appreciate you having me on talking lacrosse. And thank you so much for everything you do for the game.
You're welcome. Have a great day, Adam. Enjoy the playoffs, and we'll talk to you soon.
All righty. Thank you.
All right, everyone, that wraps up season 13, episode 38, overall 698 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. And I have some news to announce. My 700th episode is going to take place on Monday, April 27th. Monday, April 27th at 6 p.m. Eastern with Allie Brady, a stand-up comedian from Buffalo. She's the in-game arena host for the Buffalo Bandits. She's a huge Buffalo Sabres fan, and she does fill in for Courtney Corbetta occasionally at the KeyBank Center for the Sabre games as an in-game arena host. And she's also a co-host of a podcast show called Analytics Are for the Nerds as well. So Ali Brady, who's a friend of mine, is going to be on my 700th episode this Monday, April 27th at 6 p.m. to talk Bandits, Sabres, and a little stand-up comedy as well. And before we wrap up this show, guys, I just have a little clip of the Bandits' last game against Ottawa last week, or Oshawa, where the Bandits lost 12-8. And this is just courtesy of the National Lacrosse League's YouTube channel. This, again, is the Bandits versus Oshawa Firewolves highlights from last Saturday.
For this one, a team with 7 wins in a row. And we're off. The ball is, and Matt Vince is yet to be tested. Back the other way, it's Buffalo. Hunting on offense. Crease dive. That's stopped by Jameson. And sent up the floor by Buffalo, Zach Belter. Net stopped by Doug Jameson.
One of the most athletic players, not just goalies, but players in the National Lacrosse.
Kurtz moves to the net, elevates. Stopped by Vince.
The big body at the top of the crease. He'll stay on the edge now and try to block these shots.
Here's Simmons operating from up top. Finds Kurtz. Back to Dawson. Feed. Scores! Off the body and in.
Yeah, they're all here in their jerseys and everything, having a great time.
The celebration of the season in Oshawa may have not gone the way they wanted. Ryan. Mark another one. Here's Kyle Buchanan looking for a lane. What a play there to pick that one and score at the other end. Back up top, Simmons. Played to the corner, Kurtz. Works back up top. Darts down low. Simmons shoots, scores! Alex Simmons. The run continues for the Firewolves. Dane Smith out there still on defense on the 4-on-4. He and Feed challenging each other. Dawson Feed takes that one. Feed, stutter step, for an outlet, has a man working down low. Is that going to count? Signal the goal on the floor. Feed to the top of the house. It's Taggart Clark stepping through the middle, opening up some space. Feed inching forward. Simmons, Kurtz, Shot, scores! Ty Kurtz! Smith takes the pass from Byrne. Back to Byrne. Quick pass through. Resident. Gets the. Kyle Rubish sticking to him. Back over to Byrne. Lane to the net. While falling. What a goal from Josh Byrne. Flips it through. Reseteris tucks it between the legs of Doug Jamieson. And time expires in Oshawa. The crowd rises to its feet to salute the Oshawa Fireworks. Glenn Clark.
That clip was courtesy of the National Lacrosse League's YouTube channel, and congratulations to the Oshawa Firewolves. They had not the best first year in Oshawa, but they ended up the season with a big 12-8 win over Buffalo. So Oshawa, I do feel long-term will be a very good club, and this is a good way to end the season. And as for the Bandits, that was their first loss in 8 games, their first loss since they lost to Vancouver on February 20th, 11-9. Buffalo, Georgia, tomorrow night. I believe it's a 7 or 7:30 face-off in Georgia. With that loss, Buffalo lost home field advantage in the first round. So I think Buffalo, Georgia game is going to be a nail biter, and I wouldn't be shocked if it went to overtime. Unfortunately, again, I'm going to go with Georgia. And I don't know if it's an upset because Georgia's 12-6, and they nearly took out the Bandits a couple years ago in the first round at the KeyBank Center. And I think it's going to be a great matchup. So again, I'm going with Vancouver winning, Georgia, Toronto in a bit of an upset over Saskatchewan and Colorado. But I do feel 2 out of the 4 games are toss-ups, and they both most likely will go to overtime as well. So again, I want to say thank you to Adam Levy, National Lacrosse League media personality, my National Lacrosse League insider, and for coming on and giving us his thoughts on the playoff games tonight. And remember, Vancouver Halifax starts tonight, Friday, April 24th, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 on the West Coast. And that game, I believe, will be on TSN, one of their main channels, with Teddy Jenner doing that. And then the Toronto-Saskatchewan game, Saturday night, 9 p.m. will be on TSN, and Greg Gore, and I believe Matt Cullen, and I'm not sure who the color analyst or the sideline reporter will be, but I know Pat will be definitely in Saskatchewan Saturday night, and Teddy Jenner will be in Vancouver Friday night as well. So really looking forward to these games, and it's a great time of the year. You got the NFL draft going on right now, and I love how Howie Roseman and the Eagles stole Mekhi Lemon away from the Pittsburgh Steelers, with the Eagles trading with Dallas. Thank you, Jerry Jones. Thank you, Dallas, for helping us land Mekhi Lemon, a wide receiver from USC. And most likely, from the looks of it, A.J. Brown's time with the Eagles will be up most likely as of June 1st. So you got the NFL draft going on in Pittsburgh. I would have loved to have been there. I've been to the NFL draft a couple years ago in Detroit as freelance media, and hopefully one day I will be able to get back to the NFL draft and the Super Bowl as well. So and by the way, congratulations to Pittsburgh. I never thought another city would surpass Detroit's opening night for the NFL draft. I was at Detroit for the opening draft in Detroit 2024. 275,000 fans, and congratulations to Pittsburgh. They surpassed it last night with 320,000 fans on opening night. So just shows you how big the NFL draft is and how much of a great sports city Pittsburgh is as well. And looking forward to the NFL drafts going on tonight and Saturday as well. And also NHL Stanley Cup playoffs going on. The NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, the NBA playoffs, and the Major League Baseball as well. And the Pistons are back in action Saturday, April 25th, 1 p.m. The Pistons Orlando Game 3 series tied up at 1-1, and the next 2 games are in Orlando as well. And as we wrap up this show, guys, I have another announcement to make. And we're going to put it up here right now. The next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by BarryCollin.com, is going to take place Saturday, April 25th, 9 p.m. Eastern, with members of the Western Medicine Show Band, Laurel Sapp, Ray Elliott, and Shannon Elizabeth. And they're going to play a couple of their songs live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. So if you're a fan of country music and want to support Canadian content, check out Live with CDP Talk Show by BarryCollin.com. Again, tomorrow night, Saturday, April 25th, 9 p.m. Eastern, again with Western Medicine Show Band, Laurel Sapp, Ray Elliott, and Shannon Elizabeth. And as we wrap up this show, guys, I have another announcement to make too, and that is from our friends at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership is your go-to service destination for brakes. Get up to $120 in instant savings on GM genuine parts, brake pads, rotors, and a no-charge, that's right, a no-charge brake inspection. So if you want to keep your vehicle safe and you know how important brakes are, go to Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership right now for a no-charge brake inspection. And again, you can get up to $120 instant savings on GM genuine parts, brake pads, rotors, again, and a no-charge brake inspection. So go see Andrew and the service department at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealerships for your vehicle needs and your brake needs as well. And again, Barry Cullen Chevrolet is a proud sponsor, advertiser of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. And if you're a business and company and you're looking to advertise on a platform such as mine, you can email me at cpalme19@gmail.com. My prices are reasonable and very competitive, and I look forward to working with you in your business on Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. That is on 21 platforms, has over 704,000 viewers on my YouTube channel, and has almost 12,000 downloads and listens on Spotify. So my show can get exposure for your business on video form and audio form. And I do have listeners in 81 countries around the world. So please consider Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show if you're looking to advertise your business. As we wrap up this show, guys, I am on Cameo.com. Go to Cameo.com, type in Chris Palme, and book your personalized video now. I do happy birthday, happy anniversary, happy Hanukkah, congratulations, whatever within reason, no Toronto Maple Leaf messages. And I look forward to doing your cameos very soon. You can follow me on Blue Sky Social. I'm on Blue Sky Social at Live with CDP19 at Blue Sky Social. And I have some more good news. The Cambridge District Humane Society, one of my buddies that's been down there for 4 months, yesterday, Bernie was adopted and went home with his new family and home last night. So congratulations to Bernie, and a big shout out to Michelle and the staff at the Cambridge District Humane Society. In the last month, they've had dogs such as Daisy, Christopher, Olivia, and now Bernie adopted into homes. They've been down there for a number of months, and the Cambridge District Humane Society does a great job. So I'm so happy for Bernie and the Cambridge District Humane Society for the work they're doing. And I will be there this afternoon at the Cambridge District Humane Society, 2:00 to walk dogs as well. And I do some fundraising for them as well. Again, the Cambridge District Humane Society, if you're looking to adopt a pet, located at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. Telephone number 519-623-7722, extension 0, or visit their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. All the pets and animals that are up for adoption, check them out on cambridgehumanesociety.org. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. Please check out my revised website at beacons.ai. That's beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. You can also follow me, this content creator. I'm a full-time content creator. You can follow me on TikTok at Chris Palme and check out my latest content. Make sure you like, share my posts on TikTok. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars, live streaming, podcasting, go to StreamYard.com. They have basic free plans, paid professional plans like I do. And if you're a business that does a lot of webinars, go to StreamYard.com and contact our sales department for business pricing as well. And yours truly has been with StreamYard now for 5 years, and I give them a big thumbs up. So for your live streaming needs, webinars, go to StreamYard.com. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. The audio version is on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, YouTube Music, and Good Pods. Please subscribe, like, and share on my audio platforms. Finally, guys, you can email the show live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show at cpalme19@gmail.com. Any comments, questions, suggestions would be greatly appreciated. And also, if you like my YouTube channel and my media work and you'd like to support it, I am on paypal.com. Go to paypal.com at Chris Palme if you'd like to contribute to my YouTube channel and my media work through paypal.com at Chris Palme, or go to cameo.com and book a video from me there, cameo.com/Chris Palme, if you'd like to purchase a personalized video message from yours truly, CDP, or paypal.com if you'd like to contribute towards my media work and my YouTube channel as well. Finally, guys, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Threads, Blue Sky Social, everywhere except Snapchat. And remember to subscribe, like, and share to my YouTube channel, Chris Palme, Live with CDP Talk Show. Subscribe, like, and share. And I have over 4,300 videos there, and I have lots of content. And also check out my YouTube Shorts channels as well. And that is about it for today. I want to say thank you again to my special guest, Adam Levi, a National Lacrosse League media personality and National Lacrosse League insider on this show, for coming on here tonight. And again, we've got Halifax, Vancouver game tonight at 10 o'clock. Saturday, Buffalo, Georgia at 7:30. San Diego, Colorado, 9 o'clock. Toronto, Saskatchewan at 9 o'clock. And looking forward to these first round winner go home rounds. In the National Lacrosse League, the first round is one game. The second round is the best of three. And then the NLL finals is the best of three as well. So good luck to all the teams tonight, and really looking forward to watching the TSN broadcast with Halifax, Vancouver tonight at 10 o'clock, and then Toronto, Saskatchewan Saturday at 9 o'clock as well. And again, make sure you check out Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show Saturday, April 25th, 9 p.m. as members of the Western Medicine Show Band, Laurel Sapp, Ray Elliott, and Shannon Elizabeth join us. And we're going to have at least 2 live performances song on here as well. I hope everybody has a great day. And I want to say thank you to the audience, people for watching this live stream or on my audio platforms. I really appreciate your support and watching and listening to the show. And a big thank you to Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership for advertising on Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show as well. I hope everybody has a great day and enjoy the Stanley Cup playoffs, the NBA playoffs, and the National Lacrosse League playoffs, and of course, the NFL draft as well. Go Eagles! And good luck to all the teams in the National Lacrosse League this weekend. Have a great afternoon, everybody. And again, thanks for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, hosted by Chris Palme and brought to you by the folks at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership here in Guelph.